Today we're looking at Billionaires AI and some pretty wild swings in fortune.
Yeah, wild is a good word for it.
I mean, 1 month, these guys are making $10 billion a day.
10 billion a day.
Yeah, you heard that right. $10 billion a day.
It's crazy. And then the next, they're looking at these massive losses.
And all thanks to a new player in the AI game.
A real curveball, this one.
Most folks hadn't even heard of it until just recently.
I know, I hadn't.
DeepSeek.
Right, Teak. That's the one.
So let's start setting the scene. It's January 2025. Everything's coming up roses for the world's billionaires.
Especially those in tech.
Yeah, they're riding high on a wave of market optimism, and their wealth is just surging.
Surging is an understatement.
By $10 billion a day. Can you even imagine?
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? To put it in perspective, that daily increase could cover the salaries of 15 million workers for a whole year.
Wow.
It's likely a mix of things driving this boom. Continued interest in AI, for sure, and maybe a sense that after a few rocky years, tech was back in a big way.
So we've got this backdrop of insane wealth creation.
Yeah.
And then, seemingly out of nowhere, comes this AI startup DeepSeek.
Under the radar completely.
I'll admit, I hadn't heard of them before this whole thing exploded. Had you?
Nope, not a peep.
They launched their R1 model.
And bam, shockwaves through the whole industry.
This wasn't just another AI company.
Not even close. Their approach was totally disruptive.
So tell me more about this R1 model. What made it so different?
Well, one of the big things was efficiency. It needed way less computing power than other AI models.
So that means?
It's cheaper to run, more accessible, opens up high-level AI to way more users.
So they took this exclusive, expensive tech and made it available to pretty much everyone.
Exactly.
That's got to shake things up,
Yeah,
especially for companies like NVIDIA.
Oh, yeah. They were at the top of the AI game.
Exactly.
And shake things up.
The DeepSeek's R1 model was so successful, so fast, it wiped out almost $100 billion.
From the collective wealth of the world's richest people.
$100 billion.
No,
We're talking about billionaires. But that's still a crazy amount of money to lose.
It is.
And in such a short time, too. How do people like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg even react to that kind of shift?
Well, let's take Elon Musk. He was hit hard. Lost almost $90 billion because of DeepSeek.
Ouch.
But even after that, he was still the world's richest person.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Like losing some spare change when you've got a vault full of cash.
That's a good way to put it. The scale of their wealth is so huge, these losses, what's substantial, they don't really change their overall position. What's more interesting is how they seem to view these events.
Okay, so we've got these massive losses. NVIDIA, for example. Their market value plunged by $600 billion.
$600 billion.
One of the biggest drops in U.S. stock market history ever. And their CEO, Jensen Huang, he personally lost over $20 billion.
Ours is a tough blow.
But then, and this is the part that really got me, he comes out and praises DeepSeek. Praises them. Can you explain that?
It does seem counterintuitive, right? But it says a lot about their mindset. In NVIDIA's earnings call, Huang actually acknowledged DeepSeek's innovation and the global excitement it created. He saw it as a positive, even though it was costing him personally.
So he's looking past the immediate impact and seeing the bigger picture, the potential for the whole field to advance.
Exactly. And I think this is key to understanding how people at that level operate. They're not just focused on holding on to what they have. They're looking for opportunities to grow and evolve, even if it means embracing disruption.
It's like they have this built-in radar for change, and they're not afraid to ride the wave, even if it gets a little bumpy.
Yeah, good way to put it. They thrive in this crazy world of constant innovation and disruption.
So you might be wondering, what makes DeepSeek's R1 model so unique on a technical level?
Sure.
I get that it's more efficient, but how does that actually translate into real-world applications? What can this model do that others can't?
Well, it's not necessarily about doing things that other models can't. It's more about doing them more effectively and for less money. For example, DeepSeek is making big waves in natural language processing.
Yeah.
Their model can understand and generate human-like text with crazy accuracy.
So things like chatbots that actually sound human, virtual assistants that can understand complex requests, maybe even AI tools that can write reports or articles.
Exactly. And because their model is so efficient, it can do all of this without needing as much computing power and at a lower cost, which opens up possibilities for smaller businesses, researchers, developers who just couldn't afford this kind of tech before.
It's like they've leveled the playing field. It makes you wonder if this is just the beginning of a major shift in the AI landscape,
Yeah.
one where the power becomes more distributed.
It's definitely a possibility. The traditional barriers to entry in AI are being lowered,
Right.
and that could lead to a huge surge in innovation as more people can actually use these powerful tools. But let's not forget about those who are already at the top.
Right, like Mark Zuckerberg and Meta. They're super invested in AI, too. How do you think he's viewing DeepSeek's arrival? Is he running scared, or is this just another blip on his radar?
I highly doubt he's running scared. Zuckerberg's a master strategist. I'd bet he's already analyzing DeepSeek's tech, figuring out how to integrate it into Meta's own AI development, or maybe even thinking about partnerships.
That sounds like him. He's always been so quick to adapt and bring new technologies into his platforms. Remember when Facebook bought Instagram?
Exactly. He's not afraid to make bold moves. And in this case, collaborating with or even acquiring DeepSeek could be a smart way to stay ahead of the game.
So we've got these different approaches. Musk, the disruptor who's probably seeing DeepSeek as a challenge to overcome. And then Zuckerberg, the strategist, who might be trying to leverage DeepSeek's technology to his advantage.
And that brings us back to this idea of the billionaire mindset. It's not just about getting rich, it's about constantly adapting, innovating, staying ahead of the curve. And I think there are lessons there for all of us, no matter how much money we have.
Absolutely. It's recognizing that change is inevitable. The ability to embrace that change and adapt to it, that's what really sets successful people apart. And that applies whether you're running a huge company or just trying to figure out your own career or personal life.
It's about being open to new ideas, willing to learn and grow, recognizing that disruption, while sometimes unsettling, can also be a huge catalyst for progress. DeepSeek has shown us just how quickly things can change. It's a reminder that those who are best equipped to adapt will ultimately thrive.
So we've seen how DeepSeek has really shaken things up in tech, and even changed the fortunes of some of the wealthiest people in the world.
Right.
But what does all this mean for the rest of us?
Right. That's the big question, isn't it? Is this just a game for billionaires, or are there bigger implications for everyone?
Yeah, because let's be real. Most of us aren't flying to space or buying our own islands. How does this AI revolution sparked by DeepSeek actually affect our everyday lives?
One thing we touched on earlier is the idea of AI becoming more accessible, more democratic. As these powerful tools become more affordable, they could empower individuals and smaller companies in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
Give me an example. How could this play out in, say, healthcare or education?
Okay, so in healthcare, imagine AI tools that can analyze medical images, maybe even better than human doctors. That could lead to earlier diagnosis and treatment of diseases.
That would be huge.
Or think about education. Personalized learning platforms using AI to adapt to each student's needs and learning style, making education more effective and engaging.
Those are some pretty amazing possibilities. It sounds like AI has the potential to really improve our lives. But I also have to ask about the downsides. We hear a lot about AI taking jobs. Is that something we should be worried about?
It's a valid concern, for sure. As AI gets more advanced, some jobs and even whole professions will probably be automated. But history shows us that new technologies often create new jobs and industries that we couldn't have even imagined before.
So it's not about jobs disappearing, but more about jobs changing and new opportunities popping up.
Exactly. The key is to be adaptable, to focus on skills that work with AI, not try to compete with it. And that brings us back to what we can learn from these billionaires. They're always evolving, learning, adapting, to stay ahead of the curve.
That's a great point. And it's not just about technical skills. It's about thinking critically, solving problems, being open to change. Those are essential skills for anyone, no matter what they do, especially in today's world.
Absolutely. And maybe the most important thing we can take away from this whole DeepSeek story is that the future isn't set in stone. We shape it through the choices we make and the actions we take.
It's not just about billionaires reacting. It's about all of us realizing the potential of these new technologies and using them to create a better future for everyone.
Exactly. DeepSeek has shown us that even the biggest players can be disrupted. Innovation can come from anywhere. It's a good reminder that we all have a part to play in shaping the future, and the possibilities are really endless.
I think it's a perfect place to wrap things up. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a wild ride, and I hope everyone listening learned a lot. Remember, the future is ours to make. So let's be bold, be curious, and embrace the possibilities. Until next time.